Good morning, YouTube family and fans of Distinctive Gem / August Vintage. Got a new little video to show you today, and this is teaching you guys a little something behind the scenes and what happens during the CAD process. All right, this for most of you, I'm going to be honest. For most of you, this video will not be useful. It'll kind of be irrelevant, but the thing I want to just make you aware of before you click off the video is most consumers are not aware of the fact that when models are created in CAD, there are actually two different versions. Okay, one version is what's showed to the consumer. Okay, which would be, like, for example, I'm serving a client here, and the way they want their prongs finished is in a claw fashion, which we see here on this model. Okay, so we'll take a model like this when we're serving a client, and then they say, "Ooh, I want to see how this looks finished." If you note, I have two different colors representing the prong assembly and the donut, and then another set of colors here, green, representing the shank and the bridge. All right, so when we show this to a client, and this is a new little neat feature we have here in this iJeweler program. It takes that model and exports it into this program, where then we can fiddle around. I made a video on this recently and show you guys with varying, backgrounds and colors, and you can. I'm getting into the toys of this here. We're going to call this shank trim. Doop. Platinum, 14 karat, 18 karat, rose gold, and then we can assign a separate metal for the prong assembly. I'll just type in prong, and we'll put in the same options: platinum, 14 karat, 18 karat, and rose. And then consumers can hop on here, and this is a new feature we're actually doing. And if they want to see the shank trim in, say, 18 karat gold and the prong assembly in platinum, they could easily do that right from within the viewing environment of the renders. It's really cool. If they wanted to see the shank in rose gold, they can do that. 14 karat yellow if they want to keep it all platinum. But in any case, that's not the point of this video. So in this here, in the renders, clients can see how their ring will look finished. And if you instruct us to do claw prongs at around this length, this is the image we're going to submit to the manufacturer. But okay, so this is model number one. This is the model that is shown to consumers, and this is generally something that most CAD designers do when they're serving their retail clients. They want to, and the retail client wants to see how the ring will look finished. Okay. Now, however, this is not the model that's submitted to manufacturers. So as most of you know, we're one of the only online vendors actually that give their clients a choice of two different types of manufacturing. We have there are a couple of designer benches that we work with. When I say designer benches, I'm talking guys who are in the top 5% of benches in the country. And I also work with other benches that are more of a mass production kind, okay? And their values are completely different. The time that it takes them to complete their jobs is completely different. One type of manufacturer is really contracted from the big names like, Tiffany and Van Cleef and Arpels and, Cartier, the big names. And then you have more mass-produced manufacturers out there. Probably the majority of the world is mass-produced manufacturers. But in any case, whether the model is being submitted to a designer bench or a mass manufacturer, there is one step that I have to take, or that every CAD designer has to take before submitting the model. And I'll go over what is changed and why it's changed. So what is changed is, here's the thing. If we send a model like this over to a manufacturer, we're creating more work for them. The reason why is because when a diamond is set, a diamond setter needs enough material over the prongs to be able to properly trim or fashion the prong in the way that the consumer wants it in the end. And he needs, and then obviously the folding down of the metal during that whole process of craftsmanship. So when we send over a manufacturer or a diamond setter, they don't want a model like this. All right, what they want is a bland, rounded prong like this. They don't want anything folded over the girdle of the diamond, and they want the prongs extending higher above the diamond. Okay, so prong height above girdle. This setting exists for that very reason. So different manufacturers like it at different various heights above. So I could set it at that. 2 millimeters or 2.5 millimeters is also, some diamond setters require this amount of material over the setting. So if you're, now here's the thing, here's why this could lose most, is because 99.9% of you guys out there who are ordering settings are at the same time having us set the diamond. So there's generally no need to really show you this, okay? By the way, here's how this looks in the rendering program. See? There are some times in the past I've shown consumers, manufacturers' models. Stuller sends us over manufacturers' models, where not just the prongs on the center stone are raised like this, but even on side stones, okay? And for the same reason, diamond setters need this material, this extra material, to work with and shape the prongs over the diamond. Okay. So if you're a consumer and you order specifically from us a ring, and you tell us, I don't want you to set my diamond, I would prefer if our local jeweler sets the diamond, I just want you guys to know I'm perfectly fine with that. We're all about making the sales process and the purchasing process and your entire experience a seamless and an easy experience with us. So the reason why I'm making this video too is because we just recently had a client who told us very specifically these instructions. He gave us his fiance's finger size. He gave us the metal quality that he wanted the ring in, and he made it and he also specifically stated he wants his local jeweler to set it. And we offered to set it for him, and even offered to set it to him for free okay, in the end. But he insisted on his local jeweler. And listen, I'm not about twisting arms or anything like that. So we custom made the client's setting. It happened to be a Vachi setting. So the setting that I'm using in this illustration is not the setting. So this was an interesting comment from apparently the jeweler who, and himself. He said the jeweler told him that this setting isn't for your size diamond. This setting is for a bigger diamond, which was kind of an ignorant statement. Because every single model that is built in CAD is designed for the diamond that's going into it, which is why we need that information. But when we're making a manufacturer's model, with the prongs naturally extending higher and further out from the circumference of the diamond, obviously the top of the prongs at this juncture is not going to be the same as the length or height of the prongs when it's folded over the diamond, okay, in its model. So just to give you an idea here, we'll take this point here and go here. So the diamond in this example happens to be an 8.5 millimeter round, which is around a 2.5 carat size stone. But when you extend the prongs to fit over this diamond for a diamond setter or for a manufacturer's model, the prongs extend out 11.64 millimeters. So an inexperienced person or somebody who's never seen a manufacturer's model before, such as the client I was working with, his jeweler, who also apparently didn't know what he was talking about, said, no, these are prongs for an 11.64 millimeter diamond, not an 8.5 millimeter diamond. Okay, so it's funny because I wrote Vachi about this, who the ring was from, and he said, "Tell this guy to go to a real jeweler and not a plumber," which I thought was kind of funny. But the truth remains: the physics demand a wider and longer, more material here, and it's going to be a broader circumference, which is obvious, okay? Unless the prongs that extend up aren't angling and they're going straight up for some reason, you know. But this here, and the truth be told, this could accommodate not just an 8.5 millimeter round, but it could accommodate a little bit even larger diamond as well, due to the prongs extending out. So there's some flexibility there. And that's why sometimes manufacturers may advertise rings as this setting will accommodate, say, a 2.5 to a 3 carat, or a 2.5 to a 285, or give a certain range covering the tolerances that the length of these prongs will fit. All right, so that's all. You got two different types of models. A finished model, which we show the clients, and there's a whole bunch of different prong finishes that we can do when we're setting a diamond. But if you're ordering a model to have your local jeweler set it, or somebody other than us, it will always be, without exception, a model that will have extended prongs from the size of the diamond that you give us. And this is done out of courtesy and out of a foreknowledge of the fact that the diamond setter is going to need this extra material to shape and fold over the girdle edge of the diamond, like we had here. Okay? Not a difficult thing to understand. And that will conclude this video for today. Thank you for watching.